And a good midday Monday. Roger Hill, VELCO Weather Hazards forecaster. This is the VELCO Weather Hazards Outlook. Looking at the big picture on the weather map this morning, well, we have this upper level low that's spinning off the eastern coast of New England. Of course, we have this big blocking area of higher pressure, kind of an omega block setup. We have a trough of lower pressure. All jet stream energy goes way up over the top of this and then kind of dives back down. This kind of a weather pattern is very, very stable. Don't expect any changes to take place for some time to come. Probably some changes not until the early part of next week as we head into, say, Monday, where we could see a little bit more of a wetter type weather pattern work into the region, where the eastern seaboard could be inundated with a lot of moisture working in. So if anything, we're looking at temperatures that will probably warm up, probably more humidity after this outlook period, and the possibility of wetter conditions with showers and thunderstorms. Currently, right now, we have a smoke layer with numerous fires that have been out of control. This is across parts of Ontario into coastal Quebec, and the circulation around this upper level system and surface low pressure center continues to cause that to dive into the U.S., mostly into the Great Lakes, but we're going to be right on that fringe, and western parts of Vermont will see that smoke arrive this afternoon. Under this big omega block, we have warming temperatures that will rise easily into the 80s and probably the 90s, whereas we're looking at much cooler conditions, of course, across eastern parts of Canada associated with this upper level system, and a flow right now that's relatively pristine into the morning hours through Vermont. But again, this is going to be pushing on through, and that thicker smoke that's even near surface smoke is going to be getting into our neck of the woods. Now, just showing you where the smoke is, we have smoke that is in Trenton, Petawawa, Ontario, Sudbury. We're looking at up and around Val d'Or, also in Quebec, and there's numerous fires that are out of control. Let's take a look at some of the computer modeling on that real quickly. This is the HRRR smoke, a near surface forecast smoke projection anyway, and you can see the fires, a lot of smoke. These are very thick areas of smoke, and the purple here that's up and generated from some local wildfires, as well as some of that Western Canadian wildfire smoke layer. And so what you can see is the smoke doesn't make it into Vermont. This is valid at about 11 o'clock noon into 1 o'clock this afternoon. And you can see that thicker smoke is really not going to be in eastern sections, but really right along the spine of the Green Mountains and points west. But that will inundate and overtake as we go into tonight. This is valid, for example, 11Z tomorrow. That would be tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. And you can see where all these source regions are for a lot of that wildfire smoke. And the modeling is actually indicating that that smoke is going to go out of control. These wildfires are going to actually strengthen and intensify. And you can see that action here. This goes out to tomorrow evening at about 6 o'clock. So kind of parts of eastern Vermont looks like it's going to miss out. Parts of New Hampshire and Maine and the eastern Canadian Maritimes, they'll be under cloud cover and a little bit of shower activity associated with that cold cutoff low that's off to the east of us. We're going to use strictly the European model. This is valid at about noon today and 1 o'clock this afternoon. This is our precipitation. And of course, we're right on the edge, but we're into that circulation right now, pristine air, but that's going to be changing. Now, the way this upper level system and the surface low is associated, we're going to see a little bit of a shot of rain that's going to work on in. This is mostly stratiform type stuff and not so much thunderstorm type stuff. And that's going to rotate in here, it looks like on Wednesday for a shot, a little bit into Thursday, a little bit into Friday. Friday we could actually have a little bit of tiny bit of convection. This is for Thursday. And then on Friday we see a little bit of a ripening here during the afternoon hours. That's a shower and thunderstorm activity. Looks benign, kind of chilly still in the area at that point in time. And then Saturday and beyond the period, we're looking at a wetter setup as we're going to start to push in some more moisture. This weather system then moves a lot of moisture up the eastern seaboard. This will be valid long range about Tuesday of next week. Looking at the SREF model, the probability of thunderstorms just pushing that along here. We have a little bit of instability that works into the St. Lawrence Valley tonight. Kind of diminishes, and then it kind of holds together, but again, it's off across parts of New York State. But it sets up basically a little bit of business with the axis, mostly in southern New England, and then that basically is up into parts of the St. Lawrence Valley, mostly cutting across the Adirondack Mountains and into southern parts of Vermont. And the European model is also in real good agreement on that. GFS ensemble looks like this, expecting pretty much showery weather every day, and there's just without let up here as we're into this kind of pattern right now, very blocky, a lot of cutoffs. So the total amounts of precipitation aren't really that healthy, but they do make some inroads here. The averages of the ensembles are over an inch once we go past, let's say, 7 days. The more recent on a deterministic model of the GFS is one of the lower ends and only around 5/10. I'm more believing this than I am this dark line here, unfortunately. And temperatures are cool, but this is the 850 hectopascal temperature, roughly about the top of Mount Mansfield. And what we can see is temperatures remaining above the 0-degree isotherm, thank God. And then the winds don't look to be too impressive, under 30 knots. And again, the top of Mount Mansfield, so we have no wind issues to worry about. Precipitable water is pretty it's not low, but it's not high either. A little bit higher once we get in toward this coming weekend. And then looking at Cape over shear, we got little bits of Cape, 300, 400, 500 joules per kilogram. Tuesday, tomorrow, a little better day for that. That's going to be about it. And then maybe along about Friday into Saturday, very limited amounts. And then looking at shear, generally under 30 knots. So what does organize in terms of thunderstorms, it will not organize. It looks pretty elevated and kind of not a big deal. And not only that, most of that is going to be across parts of New York. You can see where the best chances of greater than a ½ inch are, basically in parts of New York, a little bit into the Northeast Kingdom, pretty dry across southern New England according to the, this is the Weather Prediction Center 7-day total QPF. Looking at temperature anomalies on the 2-meter temperature climate reanalyzer, we're looking at below normal temperatures, but not significantly. A little bit more above normal across just about Canada, coast to coast, except for right around British Columbia. Well above normal here, and so on and so forth. And in terms of the weighted temperatures for meteorological output statistics, this is the next 5 days of high temperatures only. We'll be averaging 12 to 15 degrees below normal. About 3 days later, the trends are we warm it up only 3 degrees below normal at that point in time and becoming more neutral just to our south and west. It's a little early for this kind of nonsense in terms of tropical weather, but we do have some potential there for a 10% chance. And I don't see any real worries about that. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, thanks for watching.